Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the bee squad. Today we're going to learn how to take care of two hives, the north hive and the south hive. And with me today is my roommate and friend Carl, my dad Patrick, who is the bee master, and our friend Jamie. So Patrick, take us away.
Okay, let's head over to the hives and take a look. So we're going to take off the roof.
There's a bunch up there. It's quiet up there.
This is the top cover, and when the roof is on, there's a gap here so they can actually get out through there as well. The roof kind of comes over a bit. So we use this tool. They tend to stick things, so it's actually not stuck. So we're going to take the top cover off, and now you'll start to see a lot more bees. So we have quite a few bees there on the top cover, just kind of hanging out. We're just going to leave them over there.
How many bees in each box?
Thousands. Oh. There's probably in this hive, there might be, who knows, 30,000. So these are the ones that were meant to be for honey. We brought other frames up. This is a frame holder that I put here on the side. So what we do is we use this tool. We'll take them out one by one. And this one is completely empty. This is meant for honey production. It's a white frame. A few bees just kind of hanging out. Nothing happening there. And so we'll go across a couple of frames so you can get a sense of what it looks like. So try to be careful not to crush bees as we take this out. So that's how you see something is happening, right? So they're building comb. So that's wax that they exude that from their body, and they build out the honeycomb exactly in those shapes. And then eventually that'll get populated with either honey, or that's where the queen will lay eggs and it'll turn into more bees. So on the other side it's completely empty. So this is plastic that gives them the shape, and then they build the comb out, the wax out from that. So you see this one is pretty much covered, but they're all completely empty. This one is, oh my gosh, really heavy.
Oh, there's lots in there.
So there's stuff happening on this one.
You need me to smoke it?
No. So I'm just going to... so you see in this all honey. The part that's capped at the top, that's covered in white, that's capped with wax. That's full of honey. And down below, there's nectar that they're collecting out there and bring it back. You see we scrape some off here. So you see the honey. So that's a really big frame of honey, and the same on this side. So that's a huge amount of honey in the works. And down below in the open cells, that's on the way. So what they're doing is the nectar they bring back, they dehydrate it. They take the water content out of it in a couple of different ways and convert it. So Michael, hold this and you just get a sense of how heavy. You can grab it, like put your hand on the bottom, just get a sense of how heavy. Yeah, the side of the frame, yeah, anywhere, just, you got it? Yeah. Okay. So it was the plastic that was black, but you see where it's all kind of shiny and wet?
Yeah.
So that's the nectar that they brought back, and the bees are working it until it gets the right consistency to be actual honey, and then they'll cap it with the white stuff, the wax on top. Mm-hmm. So that's the same. It's just, at least this side is just completely covered in nectar. Oh, that's all honey. Oh my, look at that. So that's lots of honey. So this one here, just grab it like there. You gotta get it. Make sure you got like a good grip on it, and then just lift it straight up. Sit slowly. Yes, slowly.
Ripped it out. Do not drop it.
So slow movement will keep the bees from getting agitated. So what's it look like on that side?
There's a little cap. There's some capping on this side at the top.
So if we look on the other side, ton of honey on there. So this is another one that's also quite heavy. Here, want to cut it? And so when you it's feel the weight of this one compared to the one that you were just holding.
Oh yeah.
Dramatically different, and a lot less liquid inside the cells. So that's looking fine.
Should I spray a little bit?
No, it's okay. Because this one's probably completely empty. Yeah, that was completely empty. Nothing going on there, and probably also true with the last one. So what I'm going to do is move. Can you hold on to that? Move this one to the outside. Put an empty one in. Move that one out. put that one in. Okay. Excellent. And then, so we're all done. We're all done up here. We've looked. So what we would want it to see. And the queen hasn't laid any eggs, so that was good. But the bees have definitely found it. Last time we looked up here, there wasn't that many bees actually. But they find it, and they're putting in a lot of honey. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this box off, and we're going to go down and look in the two below. And you'll see something very different below. You'll see the bee production. So you see the eggs, you see the larvae, and you'll see cells that are capped, but yellow, not white. So because there's larvae inside that are pupating, that'll eventually turn just like a in a cocoon that turns, creates a butterfly. Inside that cell, they create the bee. Okay, so we're on the top brood box. This is frame number 10, fully drawn on the A side, nothing on the B side. We'll try to run through this. That was number 10, so frame number 9. Oh, very heavy. So on the B side, honey across the top, a lot of capped brood. I'm looking for eggs. I don't see any eggs. Quick scan for the queen. So if we look on the other side, so what we see here, so the white is honey, all that across the top. It's a typical pattern, it's an arc. This is where eggs have been laid, and then the larvae have hatched out, and now they're covered, and eventually they'll open and a bee will emerge. So this one, it's there's some brood, there's a lot of
So it's interesting seeing how
nectar.
How many with smoke?
Ah, nice. So give them just like a couple of shots across the top. So we're looking for the queen. So this is all honey on that side. She won't be over there, so we'll put that back in. Okay, so there's no eggs. So this one has a lot of pollen in the bottom. So you see in the bottom the kind of yellowish stuff. So they bring pollen back from the flowers. They bring nectar that they turn into honey, and they bring pollen that they feed on, including for the young. So there's no eggs on this one. This is just all pollen and honey. Anyway, it's kind of a long, tedious process, but the idea once a week is just to go in and just take a look and make sure everything looks okay. So this one, I don't know, what do you see on that side? You see honey across the top. You see some capping, yeah. You see some pollen all down there. You see a bee with its head in there, so it's cleaning out the cell. One of the worker bees. So just honey and pollen on that side. Same thing. How does that side look? Anything interesting? Just honey and pollen. So these are really loaded.
Oh, there's eggs on this side.
Are there? Let's take a look. Oh yeah. So you see in all those cells the white spots in the bottom?
Yeah.
Those are eggs. Do you see, Michael, in here, in this area? There's a little white, like a dot, in the bottom of them. So the queen puts her butt in the cell, and she deposits an egg, and that's what it looks like. And then that grows into a larva, and eventually gets capped, and eventually a bee comes out. The larvae got big enough that they cover them, the yellow part, and so bees.
Is that the queen there? The really big one?
No, that's a drone. Yeah, the drones have the really big eyes, and they're kind of fatter.
The queen has a little crown, doesn't she?
Yeah, exactly.
And so
and a scepter.
That's
What we're seeing down here, these are all bees in the making with just a little bit of honey up in the top.
How long does it take to pupate? Is that the word?
It takes altogether 21 days from start to finish, when the egg gets laid until the bee emerges. So that's a lot of brood on that one. So this is good. So
You just grab it.
come in here. Go around to where I was.
Which one? This one?
Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah.
Okay. Here?
Yep. Yeah, perfect. Get a good grip on it. Straight up, so it doesn't like bang against the side. Got a good hold on it.
So this one here is producing a lot of honey. It is one that is in full motion. Whoa, this one's actually really
there's
busy.
no honey almost on that
I
one.
know. Oh, okay then.
It's creating new bees.
Oh, okay.
So these are all capped. So you see these ones that have kind of a domed cap on them? Those are drones. If you at the bottom. So we see, do you see all the larvae in the open cells?
Do you have it?
Mm-hmm.
No, hold on to it. Just want to have a look inside just to see if the queen is here.
You're just looking for a larger bee.
You got it right, Michael? Look at the size of that drone. Do you see how big and fat it is?
Oh, I think I see her.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Oh no.
Let's see.
Maybe on the other side, on the top. That one?
Whereabouts?
To your right, right there.
That one?
No, just above.
Oh.
That one right there. Yeah, the one that's.
That one?
Yeah.
No,
Is that
no.
a drone?
No, it's a drone. That's it.
Cool.
Yeah, move that one a little bit more apart. You have room to get your fingers around it. That's it.
Okay.
And now I'll take that. And now reach in and lift it straight
That's
up.
okay.
Do you want to take that one, Jamie? Yeah, they'll move away. Or not.
Here, I think my dad's gonna spray them. Oh, there we go. Nice.
They're mad. They're swarming. Oh, wow. Okay, lots of, looks like drones on this side.
Whoa, that's
Yeah, just don't drop it.
Yeah. Wow, there's just so many bees on this thing. Holy moly.
Agitated. That's it. You just want enough to kind of separate it.
Yeah. Sorry, bees.
They'll move if you just do it slowly. Okay. Okay. So it's full of pollen all through there. We have some brood down below, but it's mostly about pollen. So let's see the other side. Okay, so lots of brood and nectar and pollen. Okay, all good.
Do you remove the
Oh, look at
honeycomb at
this.
the top? Or?
There's a spider
Right
that's
bottom,
trying to
maybe.
attack the bee.
Where?
Right there.
We finished the inspection of the first hive, the south hive. It's all looking good. It's all the comb is drawn out. We see a lot of honey, especially in the middle box, the top brood box. There's a lot of honey, not a lot of, less and less room for bee production. So what we're going to do is, we didn't see any eggs in that box. We saw eggs here in the bottom box. So we're going to move some frames out of the top brood box up into the honey box and put in some empty frames. So give the queen a little bit more room and the hive a little bit more room for expansion, queen for laying eggs. This one we're going to put back together just as it was. We just finished putting the last frame. There are a lot of bees in this box right now. So we're done with the bottom box. We're going to give that a bit of smoke so they'll get back inside. Which is exceptionally heavy now. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then when I lift this, just give it a couple of shots underneath. A couple of shots. So you can see there's not many bees that we can see here. So this one is much lighter than the other one. So most of these frames are empty. Nothing. This one that we brought up, on one side there's a lot of honey, but nothing on the other side. This frame looks as well to be completely empty. Well, they're drawing comb, so you see they're making honeycomb on it.
Okay.
Same thing on that side, but nothing in it yet. So just in preparation. So it's good that they're making the comb.
You can really hear the noise, eh? From inside the hive.
So no eggs, so no sign of a queen having come up so far. Just all honey. Okay, now the next one is the drone frame. The green drone frame we put in last time. They didn't put any drones on this one, it was all honey. So this one actually we could take out and eat. What we would need is one more.
But don't they need the honey for themselves?
No, I think we'll be okay. Let's just see what it looks like. Oh, this is like, no, it's too early. They haven't quite capped. Oh, this one is like thick with honey. Oh, the queen has been on it. Oh, it's full of drone larvae actually. They're all in the middle. Oh, here. See them? Can you see them? The other side is completely full of honey, and honey in the making. This looks quite close to being capped. This was really heavy. This is really good honey all through here. So what we'll do is we'll leave it for now, and we'll let those drone cells get capped, and then we'll do something with them later. We'll probably scrape them off and not freeze. So we can leave that. That's all good, fresh honey in the making. Ah, this one is also really heavy. So this is all honey. Look at that. That's what the other side looks like. Oh, it's almost completely full of honey. Wow, wow, wow. Feel how heavy this one is, Michael.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of honey.
So we're looking at the North Hive, the top brood box, and what we see here, as we've seen over the last few weeks, there's some queen cells that they've put onto the bottom of this frame. They're all empty. You can see them there from the bottom. So no eggs have been laid in them. They built them once upon a time, I guess, just in case, but as we can see, there's lots of capped brood and open larvae on this frame. So the queen is doing fine, and I don't think we have any risk of the bees in this hive swarming off. We've found our queen. Here she is right here, checking out the cells, looking for a place to lay eggs. So she looks like she's doing really well. So she's in the top box. She's on frame number, what will that be, number 7 on the A side. So lots of activity here. So let's put her right back down inside. So we've just finished the inspection of the North Hive. Looking good. Still not quite as developed as the other hive. The queen is doing well. We saw the queen. She's very active in the bottom 2 boxes in the central parts, a little bit less so on the outer frames. So still lots of room to expand. This box we haven't seen much going on, so we're going to leave that on top. There's a lot of brood that's going to hatch out, so the population is going to continue to increase. So nothing wrong with this one, it's just not quite as advanced as the other one. So all good on both hives. What we're going to do now, just before we finish up, we noticed that in the south hive, the top box, the honey box, is rather full. So we've decided we're going to add another smaller box, a medium sized honey box, honey super, in between. So between the second and third boxes, we're going to insert another box of honey frames. So we're going to put this medium super, so it's not quite as deep as the boxes that we have on so far. We're going to put that right here on top. A lot of room underneath, so the bees that are there will be fine. So the bees, now this one is completely empty, full of these smaller undrawn frames. So the bees now, to get up to this upper box, we're going to put back on where there are a lot of bees already today, we're going to have to go all the way up through this box on their way. So we expect that they'll start to populate the box in here to draw out the comb and start to bring up nectar and convert that into to honey. On this honey box, we've seen some quite good development, so we're going to actually pull a frame out and see what it tastes like.
Like that?
Just that's maybe this corner towards me, so
Here?
there's no fewer
This
bees.
one?
Yeah, like there. Wow, that's get as much of the liquid as you can. You're just taking too big a scoop. Take smaller scoops and take the liquid. Take all that liquid that's there. Armed robbery.
Yeah.
Those poor bees, all this work. You know how many bees it takes to make just the smallest amount of honey? How many trips? How many kilometers? Every dollop?
Now you can taste it.
It was them, those two. Get them. So we've completed the inspection of the hives, all looking good. North hive, a little bit behind still, but absolutely fine. Queen, we saw the queen. She's laying eggs. There's a lot of brood coming, a lot of bees coming. On the south hive, which is more advanced, we saw a lot of honey already populating up here into the upper box. So we've decided to add the queen excluder back to keep the queen in the bottom, not laying eggs up above. And we've added this narrow super, this medium, in between. So as the bees travel into the hive, up and through, up into this upper box, they'll pass through the new box and start to draw comb on those frames and deposit honey there. So all looking good. We had some really good help today from Michael and Jamie and Carl. So thanks to them for joining us. And with that, we're done.